All right, time to take a look at Baylor coming off an impressive 26-8 season, 12-6 in conference play, and making it to the Sweet 16. Now joining us, their head coach, Nicki, Collen, and coach, your first Sweet 16 appearance as head coach at Baylor. What did that do for the program's confidence and belief in your system, knowing it can be successful?
Yeah, I think it was a great first step for us. I also think it left us a little bit wanting, being so close in a one-possession game with USC. It just felt like we had one more game in us. And so I think it allowed us to hit the offseason and really be focused on what we need to do to take the next step.
You have one of the biggest top-rated transfers in Arianette Vonleh. Tell us about what that's been like to have her there this summer and blend that with your guard play.
Yeah, first of all, she's an incredibly humble, wants to get better, has really soaked up everything Sophia Young-Malcolm has thrown at her in terms of getting herself ready to do what we like to do, to add to her game, but someone that just is a really great teammate. But is learning to play in pick and rolls more, learning to play in space, but also gives us that dominant post presence that we lacked a year ago.
Yeah. You're always one of the most entertaining coaches to watch out there, very animated, always fighting for your players. They must love that. What kind of feedback do you get from them?
Oh, other than usually they want me in heels and dresses and doing all of that, I think, I'm a big believer. I shouldn't say this publicly because I have not had a technical yet since I've been at Baylor. So I rein it in right at the right moment. But I love the game. I think my passion for the game itself, I always say that this game has given me so much. And so all I do is try to give back every way I can, whether that's to the fans, to the team, and to our community. It's just it's kind of built into my DNA.
Tell us about that passion, that philosophy of a greater than that you've instilled in your team.
Yeah, well, we wanted something when I first got to Baylor that would stand the test of time, that was not run it back or do it again or anything necessarily cliche-ish, but really could stand the test of time. Being a faith-based institution, it also had some biblical meaning, but the concept is, hey, we want to be better today than we were yesterday. We want to be better in the classroom, better in the community. We want to be better for one another. And so it kind of goes through everything into our core values of who we are as a program.
You have a lot of big-time returners coming back, some great scorers. Your team seems to be loaded on paper. What's your gut feeling heading into season number 4 for you?
Yeah, paper's great. You need them healthy. Last year we were able to really focus on sometimes you, sometimes me, always us. Mm-hmm. When you have elite players and you have depth, you have to get them to believe that, every day is not necessarily their day to get 20. But it's at the end of the day about winning. And so really having that philosophy of, being about one another, being about winning and feeding the person that has the best mismatch.
You coached in the WNBA for the Atlanta Dream, Coach of the Year there. Talk to us a little bit about using that Prostyle system for the Bears and why so many players want to come and play for you in that system.
Yeah, first of all, it starts with pace and spacing. So if you look at the W, you look at the NBA, you look at FIBA, you're going to see great pace, you're going to see great spacing, players that are versatile and can play a lot of different positions. So for us, that's where it starts. We're going to run a lot of ball screens. We want to set more ball screens than any team in the country, but also we want to play to our advantages. So to me, Prostyle means playing to your advantages, playing to your strengths. So if that's inside to Arianette, if it's outside to Sarah Andrews hitting a 3, if it's Jada Walker and a step up getting paint touches, we want to go and take what the defense gives us.
What is it like coaching in this era? And already, this is your 4th year, but already the college game has changed so much during that time. Not only bringing in players from the portal, but having to re-recruit your own players at times, make sure everybody's happy, make sure they're staying. What is that whole process like?
Well, I think, it's honestly, it's not easy. I think, wanting to be a transformational rather than transactional coach in a time of a lot of transactions. And obviously money is the number one transaction. And so I think it's about holding true to our values and saying, we may not pay the most, but what we're going to do is give you the best balance of an education, of growing up, maturing, being ready for what's next in life, but also, empowering them in those financial ways as well. And so, there's no doubt that over a little over 3 years that I've been at Baylor, we've added NIL, we've added unlimited transfers, we've added unlimited recruiting visits. I mean, you name it. It's kind of limitless in terms of what players, student athletes are allowed to do. But if you're going to do this at our level, you have to keep being yourself, and then you make a decision at whatever point if that's not for you.
And with your team, you have more returners this year than newcomers, more so than the last 2 years. Tell us about who's the leader on the court. Who are we going to look to and see your energy and passion for the game out there?
Oh, gosh. I think we're getting Jada Walker there. I mean, I think she's someone who really had to make that transition a year ago from little two-guard playing along Orion Howard at Kentucky to trying to run the team, but also she's such a good scorer that not taking away from her scoring. So she's really grown in her understanding of what we do and why we do it, but also using her voice with her teammates. Obviously, Sarah Andrews, this is her 4th year in our system with me. She understands what we do, why we do it. So it's always for her about being healthy, so keeping her healthy. But I think it starts with them. But when you think about consistency for us, it's Dariana Little-Page Bugs. I mean, she's just someone, even in a scrimmage, an inter-squad scrimmage, I look down, I had kept everyone between 15 and 25 minutes, and then I look at Bugs, and it's 35 minutes. Because there's a security blanket in how she plays. She plays with pace all the time. She's a ball mover. The ball doesn't stick with her. Even when she's not taking shots, she makes us better. So she brings the consistency to the court in terms of the pace that we want to play at all the time.
Expectations are always sky high at Baylor, as you know well. What is it like kind of coaching in that hotbed with those constant expectations?
Well, I think most coaches feel more pressure from within than they do from the outside. And so, but I don't think there's any doubt that, when you put Baylor across the front of your chest, that there are high expectations. We don't shy away from them. We play for championships. We compete for championships. And so it comes down to the accountability of practicing and preparing that way.
And you've built so much with the program, but there's also new facilities that you have, and that just goes to show the investment into the Baylor program. Talk to us a little bit about those. I got to get to Waco and see this in person.
I mean, it's, I know bigger is sometimes better. Sometimes the intimate feel of Foster, but the new is even better, I think, for where we're at in college sports and in women's basketball in particular. Lucky enough to play there last year, but really buttoned up the concourses and really made them nicer once the offseason hit. But adding the Allison Development Center attached, it's not just new and nice, but the function involved, the ability for our athletes to get everything they need from recovery to nutrition right there in one spot is really, really special.
Wow. Almost every year you've been in the conference, there have been teams coming and going. What do you make of the new look Big 12?
Wow. I think I said to someone, I think 2 weeks after I took this job, I heard that Texas and OU were leaving, and it was like, what's going to happen to the Big 12?
Yeah.
And look at us, and so it's been exciting to see the growth. You see it, the teams we added a year ago, I've seen where the Big 12 brand has impacted their recruiting. So maybe their finish wasn't what they had hoped in year one, but I think it impacted their recruiting and gives them opportunity for this year. I think when you look at the Pac-12 teams we added, I feel like Arizona, I'm probably going to say this too much, becomes a little bit of the new Texas in that how they play, the tenacity at the defensive end, the pressure, the full court press. I feel a little bit of that with them. Utah, elite spacing, elite ball movement. Lynn does a great job with that team. Colorado's had a really good run the last few years. And I think Arizona State is just like moving into the post-Charlie Turner-Thorne era, and I think has a chance to really rise up.
Yeah. You have a future in broadcasting. You scouted out the entire league already. Thank you so much, Coach.
Thank you. Thank you.